Could this remote be the one remote to rule them all? It's a universal remote made by SwitchBot that supports Matter. That means you can connect this to your smart home to control smart home devices or scenes. A very unique product, so we'll take a closer look and see what all we can do with this thing. Let's go. Yo, what's up guys? My name is Shane and this channel is all about helping you build an easy Apple home, smart home with new videos and live streams published every week. Thanks to SwitchBot for sponsoring today's video and sending me their new universal remote. I'll admit I was pretty intrigued by this for two reasons. One, they said it works with Apple TV, and two, it supports Matter. Now for that Matter support, you will need to have a SwitchBot Matter hub. So I know that may turn off a lot of people. I personally already do have a SwitchBot hub that I'm using it in my smart home, as well as a number of other SwitchBot devices. So this would work great for anyone like that who already has one, but we'll discuss all that. And of course, as you can imagine, you can control all of your SwitchBot devices with a remote like this. It does also work with Amazon Fire TVs, and of course, you can control IR devices like air conditioners, TVs, fans, and more. There is a 25 device limit to be aware of that includes 10 IR remotes and 15 Bluetooth SwitchBot devices. There's also a limit of 10 SwitchBot Scenes that can be managed by this SwitchBot Universal Remote. In the box, you get the remote, a USB Type-C to USB Type-A cable for charging, user manual, and a SIM ejector tool. If you don't already have the SwitchBot app, you will need to download that. As I said, I do have a lot of SwitchBot devices already in my home, so I already have the app. To add the remote, tap the plus icon, and you should see your universal remote show up here after you have powered it on. Just a couple of quick steps to pair the remote to the app, then you can name it and place it in a room, all that good stuff, just like any smart home device, really. Now I noticed there's a firmware update immediately, so I definitely want to upgrade the firmware so we get the latest features and bug fixes for this. Using the remote is pretty straightforward. You have a nice little 2.4-inch LCD screen here on the top. There are 4 buttons across the middle section that sort of blend in with the screen. These can be customized for different devices. You have a large on-off buttons, and then you have a touch wheel in the middle. You can choose to turn on or off the touch wheel in the remote settings. When on, simply sliding your finger around the touch wheel will allow you to scroll through the devices on the screen there. When it's off, you can just click the up and down buttons to scroll through your devices. Other buttons here on the remote, as you'd expect, you have back, home, volume, mute, etc. The red SwitchBot button here in the middle is what you'll use to get back to the main screen for selecting the device you want to control. But to control your devices, you'll need to first connect them to the remote in the SwitchBot app. When the remote is connected to the app for the first time, you will be prompted to add a new device to the remote. Once you've done this, you'll see your connected devices across the middle here. There's an option to manage your connected devices. Here you can rearrange them, delete them, or add new ones. When you add a new device, you'll have the option to import existing devices that you have already paired in the SwitchBot app. This would be SwitchBot devices or IR devices connected to your SwitchBot hub. Or you can also add third-party devices. So those would be Matter, Apple TV, or Fire TV right now. To add an Apple TV to the remote, just go to the remotes and devices section in your Apple TV settings, go to Bluetooth, and then connect to the SwitchBot remote that you should see there. Once you've done this, you'll have the basic controls like power, mute, play, home, back, and volume control. If you want to add IR devices to the remote, you first have to connect that IR device to your SwitchBot hub. So that may be a little bit confusing, but essentially once your IR device is paired to your SwitchBot hub, you can then easily add the IR devices to your remote to control from right here. So there's a list of supported IR devices on the SwitchBot website, which I'll show you right here. This could of course change in time, but right now this does include TVs, air conditioners, lights, DVD players, streamers and projectors, air purifiers, and more. Now obviously I don't have all of these types of IR devices in my house, but I did try out a few just for different things that I could find that do have, you know, an IR remote. Now one potential downside that I want to point out is regarding the pairing process specifically for IR devices. Because you have to pair IR devices first to the SwitchBot hub, that means you have to disconnect your SwitchBot hub and take it to wherever the IR device is located. So for something like a TV, maybe that you can't move around, you will have to take your SwitchBot hub to the TV, pair the TV to the hub first before you can use it with the remote. So that whole process is a little tedious. You can't pair the IR devices directly to the remote. You have to first pair them here to the SwitchBot hub. Once you do that, you're good to go. You can then put your SwitchBot hub back, you know, wherever you normally keep it. But that whole process could be a little tedious if you have a whole lot of IR devices scattered around in different parts of the home maybe that you want to control with the remote. All right, now let's talk about that Matter integration so I can control my smart home with the remote. Again, here you will need a SwitchBot Matter hub. You'll need to go into the hub settings and look for Matter and then secondary devices. Here are all the SwitchBot devices that I have exposed to Matter through this hub, and you can see the others that are available down here. Just find the remote and tap the plus icon. Once that's done, you'll see the new Matter section when you go back to the Universal Remote in the SwitchBot app. This Matter integration is essentially giving you 4 buttons, those 4 black buttons right there that are exposed to Matter. So you'll be able to program these 4 buttons to do whatever you want in your smart home ecosystem. In the SwitchBot app, you can rename the buttons just basically to serve as visual cues while you're using the remote. I'm not gonna go through the whole process of adding your hub to your smart home ecosystem and all that stuff here today. If you do wanna see that, I did make a whole video about the SwitchBot Hub 2 when it first came out. That's the hub that I'm using here to do all this. I'll put a link to that video up here. But once your SwitchBot Hub has been added to your smart home ecosystem, any of those secondary devices, including the new Universal Remote, will automatically show up here in your smart home. You'll get those 4 buttons again that you can use to program or control any of your smart home accessories. For my case here in the Apple Home app. I do want to quickly mention SwitchBot Scenes. Again, you can add up to 10 scenes from the SwitchBot app to show up here on the remote. I like using my close and open the blind scene here because it's just a single click right there on the remote to do what I want, and it's just really convenient. All right, so what's wrong with it, if anything? So I know when it first came out, there were a number of mixed reviews that I saw because I think some of the features maybe weren't working right or whatever when it was first released. I didn't get it then at that time. The SwitchBot clearly has fixed all that through firmware updates. I personally haven't had any issues with the Matter integration or anything else major since I've been using it. And my daughter did say it looks like something from the 1970s. So literally those were the words that came out of her mouth. I personally don't mind the look of it too much. Of course, that is subjective. It is a little bit on the bulky side, but I kind of like that. I don't know, maybe I'm just old school. Either that or I'm just really tired of losing the Apple TV remote in the sheets or between the couch cushions. And if you do still lose this fairly large remote, at least this one has a little speaker on it that you can ring from the app, from the SwitchBot app. So that's really nice. It'll help you find it. That's something that the Apple TV remote still does not currently have. Of course, one thing you won't have if you do use this to replace your Apple TV remote is control, on the remote. The Apple TV remote you can use, directly on this to, open apps and do different things. There's no microphone or whatever on this, so you won't be able to do that. But Other than that, everything you can do on here, you can do on here. So I've really enjoyed using this in my downstairs area for multiple things. I can use it as my main living room Apple TV remote, but even better is for my TV outside. So the remote to that TV actually doesn't work right and it's really hard to use. And it's actually the only TV that I don't have an Apple TV connected to. So being able to use this in that outdoor area is great. I also have a lot of HomeKit accessories out there and no HomePod. So it's great that I can control, my HomeKit scenes right here on the remote when I'm out there. I really also love using it to control all of my SwitchBot blinds, which are not too far away from there. So I kind of carry this in between the living room, kitchen, dining room, and that back porch area and use it for multiple things. If you're interested, you can purchase one right now for $59.99 US. They have been running some discounts and sales lately, so you might even be able to get it a little bit cheaper than that. And if I am able to get a discount code or anything like that to save you a little bit of money, I'll definitely put that down below in the video description. And before you go, tell me down in the comments, what do you think? Do you like the way this looks? Would you use one of these in your smart home? If you want to learn more about the SwitchBot Matter Hub that pairs with this remote that we've been talking about today, or maybe you're just considering getting one of these for the first time or getting into the SwitchBot ecosystem for the first time, check out this video right here on that SwitchBot Matter Hub. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more smart home videos just like this and live streams every week right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.